Shekhar Ramamurthy, the MD at United Breweries, at the show with us today. Shekhar, hi, good morning. Good to have you on the show, and hope everyone at UBL, your family and you are all in healthy shape.
Good morning, and yes, all is good. Thank you very much, and I hope all is good with all of you too. You people have been hard at work and doing what you're doing right through. So congratulations and all the best to all of you.
Thanks so much for that. Yes, trying to stay home as much as possible. Let's get to the discussion then on liquor, Shekhar, because, you know, April saw close to zero sales, of course, and then May you had those WhatsApp forwards of serpentine queues all along liquor shops. What sort of recovery have you seen in the months of May and June, and how far away are you really from pre-COVID levels?
Well, absolutely right. The month of April was zero sale. Almost zero, and we had a very small, tiny sale in Sikkim because Sikkim was open for a few days, interestingly, and we had a bit of our non-alcoholic beer sale. Other than that, everything was closed. Yes, and what I always like to do is separate hard liquor and beer, and I think it's becoming more and more important to do that because what we are seeing, and this my colleagues in the liquor industry also have commented on, is that in the immediate aftermath of opening up of the markets post-COVID, I can't say post-COVID, but in the opening up of the markets, we're seeing a fair shift from beer to liquor from consumers. So beer is taken quite a big hit. Month of May when we opened, we had about 25-30% of our usual sale. And month of June is a little bit better, maybe 40 to 50%, but we're still far from recovery. And everybody wants to know when things will get back to the usual and normal. And what I have to say is that in a scenario like this, all we can do is actually plan month by month. Anything beyond that is very difficult. We all hope like everybody else that things will get better from, let's say, Q3, Q4 onwards. But at this point of time, it's quite difficult. And the other aspect which you mentioned about long serpentine queues at outlets when they open, one must bear in mind that we have so few outlets in the country. At best, at 100%, we have about 85,000 outlets in the country. And those queues that were reported, especially in Delhi, were because, for a city of close to 20 million people, 44 shops opened. Now, you can imagine the kind of rush that would have been there in those 44 shops. Now, of course, most of the retails have opened. But even as we speak, all the bars are closed. Small, big restaurants are not serving alcohol. So our estimate is out of the total potential of 85,000 outlets, at this point of time, approximately 50,000 are open. So recovery is still quite some time away. And, the focus of the organization, of course, has to be on health, safety, hygiene of everybody. And all our breweries are operating, barring one in Mumbai because of the situation in Mumbai. Some of our offices are open. And as you can see, I'm in my office and we're having a staggered rostering system. But for business to come back will take some time.
Yeah, absolutely. But tell me, now that home delivery of liquor as well has started, Shekhar, how much of it is really supporting sales? And can it really sort of compensate for physical shops?
Well, there are two aspects to this. And realistically, the fact that many state governments have changed their policy to allow for home delivery, online sale is a huge positive. As an industry, we've been working on this with the states for a long time. So that's a big tick. However, in the short term, there is not going to be a significant uptick, especially, the two aspects which impact the sale of beer. And it's something which all of us experience. Number one, beer needs to be consumed cold. And when bars, small, big, medium, premium are all closed, so access to cold beer is less. Most Indian homes are not large. Most Indian homes don't have the facility for people to chill their beer in the family refrigerator. So beer is actually suffering on that count too, whereas liquor doesn't have that problem. Beer is also bulky. So when it comes to home delivery, it's far more cumbersome for the outlet to deliver or for the third-party aggregators to deliver beer. So whilst as a policy initiative, it's hugely positive, and we're going to work with the outlets, we're going to work with third-party aggregators going forward to find a model that will be win-win-win. But in the short term, the benefits, particularly to beer, will be very small.
Okay, fair enough. If we also take a look then beyond, of course, how we expect to see a pickup, let's talk about home delivery sales in May and June. With weddings also now being cancelled, parties being cancelled, do you think home delivery is going to be enough to really partially sustain business, at least in the meanwhile?
Well, like I said, unlikely. It's a policy initiative which is very good for the long term. But in the immediate term, right now, home delivery is not going to make up for the closure of bars because beer is really, really suffering on account of closure of bars. And, Indian consumers don't really have the habit, whether they're premium or non-premium consumers, affluent, not affluent, urban or small town. Indian consumers don't have the habit of stocking beer at home. And even if you stock beer at home, it doesn't get into the home refrigerators. And it competes with the whole host of stuff which most households have. So for the beer industry to start its proper recovery, on-premise has to open.
All right, that's the view coming in. Shekhar, also, some of the premium brands like Kingfisher Storm, Ultramax, they did register strong double-digit growth. But as disposable incomes now are reducing due to COVID, do you think that there would be downtrading by customers? Is this in turn likely to affect your margins as well?
Well, there are two different aspects to it. Our premium brands, our focus will continue. So, in the beer space, the premium that people pay for a premium brand is not that much more than what they would pay for a mainstream premium brand, unlike in spirits. So the impact would be not so much because of the pricing, but would be in terms of, we don't all produce all these beer brands in all the breweries. So when there are limitations and restrictions and difficulties in transportation, that could have a short-term impact. No, I don't see much of an impact on our margins because, margins in the beer industry depend also a lot on how much Kingfisher and Kingfisher Strong we sell, the state mix, having breweries in the states that we sell. So all those boxes continue to be ticked. So we don't anticipate an impact on margins, but clearly there will be an impact on overall volumes and overall gross revenues.
Okay, and are you going to be servicing all your debt repayments? Are you going to trim your capex plans and expansion plans going forward in this post-COVID era?
Yeah, absolutely. We will meet all our commitments. There's no risk to that. We are a well-funded organization. We have a very strong balance sheet. So there is absolutely no risk of that. We have planned for all scenarios, upside, downside. So we are very well covered on that. In terms of capex, obviously it will have to be tailored to the new scenario. All the plans that we have made 6 months, 1 year back will be revisited. In fact, are being revisited as we speak. And yeah, there will definitely be a trimming of our capex for this year because we have to actually see how the volumes unfold. And clearly there will be a hit. And we already have adequate capacities to meet the volumes that we did last year and year before. So for capex to go back to its old levels will take time, but it's something which we are reviewing on a continual basis.
State-wise, where are you seeing the most pressure as well? Andhra Pradesh has seen the most adverse tax policy for the industry. You've had to take price hikes as well. Has that hurt or dried up some of the demand? And if you were to break it up region-wise as well, any insights there?
Yeah, of course. Andhra has been a huge hit to the industry because of adverse excise policies, which actually started October last year. So Andhra is really difficult situation. Price hikes have happened everywhere after most of the state governments have imposed COVID taxes. Delhi, of course, has rolled it back, which is a positive, but most others haven't done as yet. Interestingly, now this is something which has happened over the last 2 months, ever since outlets have opened. We find that the beer industry has taken a much bigger hit in the east of the country than in the north, south, or west. So it's got something to do with consumer behavior, and we are looking at it. Of course, a market like Odisha has still not opened up. So while shops are open, there is no over-the-counter sale. So if you ask us to comment on how businesses got impacted, I would say apart from Andhra, which is tax and excise policy related, the biggest impact has been East. And our initial insights on this are, it's because of pricing, because governments have put up prices. And most of East is far more price sensitive than South or West. And two, the whole consumer behavior seems to have got impacted by people shifting more to spirits in the eastern part of the country than in west or south or north.
Thank you, Shekhar, for sharing with us the outlook and giving us a sense as to what the overall consumption has been like and how sales volumes have been impacted, as well as your capex plans going forward. That's the view coming in from the Managing Director at United Breweries.